Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Macclesfield Town Council Finance Committee on the 13th of February, live at Macclesfield Town Hall. We're also on YouTube, I believe. So we're just welcoming everybody. Just before we start, I just wanted to say thoughts and prayers go out to the people, victims and families in Turkey and Syria after the disastrous earthquake, and sort of think about them at this time. The meeting's open to the public, the space is limited. Okay, so we'll start with the agenda, and item 1, apologies for absence.
There are no apologies.
Brilliant, okay. And item 2, declarations of interest.
I'd like to declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 5.3 Salt Life Food Bank, as I do know the manager on a personal basis.
I think it's here today, that's great. And item 3, we're going to cover the minutes of the Finance Committee held on the 7th of November, and the action is to approve those minutes. This feels like a long time ago. Okay, so can we have someone to propose?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Second, Councillor Bennett White, thank you. All in favour, please raise your hands. Okay. No. Yeah, abstain. One abstention. Thank you. So that is item 4, updates from the minutes, and to note any actions. So we're going to move on to the good stuff, onto item 5 and the grant applications, and start with item 5.1, Friends West Park. The action is to consider the grant application for £250. I believe we have a speaker. Would you be able to tell everybody your name and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. To those of you that don't know me, I'm Mark Leave. I've facilitated the Friends of West Park group for the past, say, 15, 16 months now. And the application is towards some family activity, sort of scavenger hunts around West Park for a year. The group have already received £50 worth of funding from the co-op to cover two family activity scavenger hunts. So this application would be to cover the remaining 10 months of the year. Now the group themselves, their idea to deliver this, and we have done two or three practice events, in which we were quite surprised at how many families engaged with it, and we hence the reason why we want to do it on a more regular basis this year. What during practice events, it was actually the residents themselves, the group members themselves, that were paying for the resources for those activities, and we just thought that to do it for a year was unfair, and to ask the residents to continue to do that. So we were just wondering if that's why we applied for some sort of foundation funding. The activities themselves are very straightforward. So the residents, at least 2 of the residents, are based at the Rangers Hut on West Park, and local families with small children can come collect a scavenger hunt from one of the volunteers. They also have some information about recycling for parents, recycling in the park, and there is also fruit, so normally it's bananas, and strangely not carrots, that are offered for the children, so it's the other way around. We also use recycled wax crayons as well for the children to use to colour in. As part of the scavenger hunts, they're not actually required to pick anything up or collect anything. It's just a case of they need to just see the items on the scavenger hunt and at the end, up to now, we've only been able to give out sort of prizes to during one of the events, just because it was quite expensive. But we hope that going for would be able to give out a few more goodies for the kids.
Brilliant. Would it be okay if some of the councillors ask you a question?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Any questions? Councillor Harewood?
How many people do come? What's their average number of residents and children, please?
Yeah, sure. So obviously it's dependent on the weather, but so far we generally get between sort of 70 and 90 individuals. So I'd say probably maybe 20, between 20 and 30 families in total. There's normally a queue out the door, and unfortunately we didn't quite realise how successful they'd be. So for two of them, we didn't actually print off enough scavenger hunts for everybody, which we apologise for everybody. We didn't get anything nice again.
I think we recognise that £250 isn't a great deal of money, but one thing that's really great about I hope about you working with the town council is the ability that we can help in some ways to promote it, to get. But how do people find out about it?
So Friends of West Park have got a Facebook group, and up to now that's where most of the communications have gone from. There's also a notice board in the Friends of West Park cafe that has information on. And one of the scavenger hunts we've done so far was actually during the Macclesfield Town Council event on West Park with the animals and reptiles. I can't remember what it was called.
Benjamin's new, yeah.
That's the one.
Formerly Bellywalk. Yeah. Oh, a new part of that as well.
It was, yeah, but that was one of the ones I apologise that we ran out relatively quickly. Expected so many people.
Yeah, could I just say that I've met the group firsthand. It was following the litter picks that we did for Britain in Bloom, and I was then contacted by somebody in the group who said, "Why didn't you tell us you were doing this and we could have come along and helped you?" So I did go along. It's officially itinerant award, which surprised me officially. Thought it was more central, but yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by the enthusiasm in the group, and I think that if we do arrange something like that again, then we should contact Friends of West Park, because they will bring numbers down to help us, I'm sure, if we were to organise something like that, and vice versa. So there's a lot of enthusiasm and energy in the group.
And passion.
Don't forget passion.
I would say that, I mean, years ago I managed to convince the skateboarders to dress up in costume and as part of a scavenger hunt. So it's kind of like you should enlist some of your sort of local users to do stuff to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna, if it's okay with the rest of the committee, we're gonna take it to a vote now. Should that be okay, Mark? Okay, so we're gonna have a vote then to approve the action to consider the grant for application for £250. Do I have a proposal? So, Councillor Wilcock. Thank you. Do I have a seconder at all? Thank you, Councillor Bennett Wake. So, all in favour of the proposal to approve? Thank you. Do we have an abstention, or is that everybody? Was it everybody in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. So yes, so that's been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to stay and watch the rest of the committee, please feel free. Otherwise, if you want to leave, it's not a problem. We're going to move to item 5.3, which is the Silk Life Food Bank action to consider the grant application for £2,000. Do we have a speaker?
Yeah, we're going to shout if that's okay.
It's to shout.
So we're going to shout speaking if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of course. Would you be able to stand up as well?
Yeah, I can stand up, that's fine. My name's Dan Blackman. I'm the team lead coordinator for the Silk Life Food Bank in Macclesfield, just down on George Street, which is just off Sunderland Street if you're not sure where it is. I've been running the food bank now for 2.5 years, taking it successfully through the pandemic. Never had to refuse a referral made to us for food by over 50 agencies now that are actually referring to us on a professional level within this health and social care field. We have scaled up significantly over the last 2 years. pre-COVID we were averaging around about 60 parcels a month. That averaged over the 18 months of the pandemic to 175 parcels a month, and throughout 2022 it fell by around about 19%, even with the cost of living crisis. So that puts it in perspective how busy the pandemic was. However, from the 142 monthly average referrals we were receiving through 2022, what we would say is that in January this year we saw a 39% increase in the month of January of people being referred to us. Hence the fact that what we started to see was what all of us have been expecting with the cost of living crisis and the energy crisis that's facing the most vulnerable families and even working poor families at this time. We anticipated that this was going to happen and prepared for that by doing a harvest appeal, and we did a Christmas appeal which built our winter stocks. So we're currently sitting on around about 7 tonnes of food and storage at the moment, which will see us through the winter period, we hope, and through this difficult time. So as a food bank, we thank you for the support we've had in 2021 with the 2,000 we received down towards the equipment that we needed at that time to scale up, and that's been really useful. Thank you for that. But what my job is to look for further avenues within the community where we can actually build new teams and levels of support in the infrastructure of actually helping vulnerable families. So one of the things we've done over the last few years, we've set up a period poverty team where we've connected with Tippington High School ladies group in the sixth form, and they've actually been working with us to help women that need sanitary wear. We've set up a community hub, which I'm sure you're aware of, on a Wednesday morning where between 10 and 12 there's a warm space open to all food bank service clients and also hostel users, homeless and anybody else who wants to come, and that's been really successful too. We are currently being approached by Pillars of Cheshire as well for a ethnic food bank, and we've decided that we're going to invest £500 of our own funds into that ethnic food bank as a start-up, and we're working with that and hoping that's going to come in March. There are other things that we want to do, but finances obviously are not limitless, and one of the things that we've been trying to do to help people is the baby support group. My wife Jane has been working with families over the last 6 months to help those that may not necessarily come to a food bank because they think actually, you know, whether it's the stigma, I'm not sure, that's attached to it. Some of the working poor particularly find approaching a food bank service quite difficult, but they're struggling. So what they will do is come and ask for help, and where there's nappies and there's toiletries for babies that are available. So numbers wise, my wife is much more informed than I am. She's got a few props to show you of what these packs look like and the health visitors she's going to be working with. And if it's okay, I'd like to hand over to her, and then if there's any questions we can answer them as a team. Thank you.
Yeah, so we started in April last year. It just started off with the numbers that we had coming in. We started doing April and December, we averaged it out, and we were averaging, reaching out to about 18 parcels a month, which is like a total of 1,018 nappies, which was 36 packs, and we were handing them out. In January, just gone, we actually handed out 61 packets of nappies, which is 18,030 nappies in total, helping 28 families. And so far in February, we've also seen an increase still, so running halfway through, so we've already given out 34 packs and helping 70 families so far. So what we do is we give out packs of nappies in a bag, which we were kindly donated, so they get 2 packs of nappies, some wipes, and some shampoo, baby shampoo or baby bath in there. So that's for the nappy side of things.
And it was presented in a nice bag as well. We like people to feel dignified when they come. We don't have a second-hand bag. We invest in some nice, useful bags.
So this parcel will last the family just under 2 weeks. So it's making a real difference. I've got some feedback that some of the families have sent to us. So one of the families said, this is brilliant, I'm going to have money this week. I wasn't sure how I was going to afford nappies for my child. Someone else wrote to us and said, thanks for the nappies. Now I can use the money I've saved to go to the local food pantry and stock up the cupboards. Another family just this last week nappies and all the extras. I've got triplets, and obviously nappies and wipes are a massive chunk out of our budget. And this will mean that some really good wholesome meals can be bought this week. And then the last one, I can't tell you how much these nappies were appreciated. When I dropped them off for the mum, this was someone who picked them up on behalf of the mum, she burst into tears. Thank you for all that you did. So there was a bit of feedback from people in our area, the difference we're making through helping them with just, which we just think is just a few packs of nappies, but it is making such a real difference. We've also talked about using weaning kits and creating weaning kits for families, and this came from a family that I was supporting, and we were helping them with a food parcel. She needed some nappies, and she just said, oh, her child was at the weaning age, and she was using just a normal spoon. She didn't have, I suppose, the niceties, if you like. The child didn't even have a bit, and this mum couldn't afford to go out and buy them. So it just really got to me, and I thought, you know, is there an opening? What can we do? So we contacted some of our referral agencies, the health visitors, and said, is there a need? Have you got a need for vulnerable clients who we could support with a weaning kit? And he said, absolutely. So we've started doing the weaning kits. So just about tomorrow, she's going to come and pick the first 5 up, which we've got together. So it's like a brand new little bit, some feeding, freezer cubes, so that hopefully we can encourage them to go to the pantries, use some of those foods to make little bits of food up. You get cups, you get some nice little bowls, and it's just great for them to be able to walk in, I think, with a lovely parcel, and just really help with their self-esteem, and just be able to say, look, here you go, everything you need to make a difference. We've also created a little weaning kit leaflet, which we're going to change, we need to, when we speak to them, aren't we? Just tell them where it's come from. Inside a list of places like Claw and Create and Streetwise, the places they can go to get extra food supports. And on the back, telling them in the future they can come and get nappies from us, and about their Healthy Start scheme, that they can go online and get some extra money for milk and healthy food. Some of our people who come for nappies weren't even aware of that they would be entitled to it, and so we've had a family with 3 children, suddenly found herself on her own, didn't realise she was entitled to it, and she messaged back and said, thanks Jane, I've got some extra money coming in, it's making a difference. So that's our kits. So the bags were donated, which we think are really nice little bags as well to go with.
Oh, thank you.
Jane was telling me in the car on the way up here that actually if a child has an average from the age of obviously newborn through to, what is it,
2.5.
2.5, the average 5 nappies per day. So if you work that out over a 2.5-year period, it's just shy of 4,500, I believe, nappies. And we calculated, didn't we, the cheapest buyback nappy that you can get on a 36 pack at Aldi was about 12 pence a nappy. It worked out about £4.60 a week. You put that alongside your wipes and your toiletries, you're soon knocking off nearly £10 a week on your bill. We do need to say that thus far, what we've done has been not on a referral basis for the nappy support. However, what we are doing with the weaning kits is making that purely on a referral basis from the health visitors, and we've already got Alison, haven't we, down at the Waters Green, that's actually connected with us already with that.
We've also got a community midwife who's starting in the area. One of our volunteers, her daughter's starting as a community midwife for vulnerable families, and she's asked, would you help provide some newborn nappies, so size 1, the youngest size, would you help maybe provide a little kit that she can again take out and support those more vulnerable families in the area. So I'm hoping she's going to come in and have a chat with us, and we're going to hopefully get the ball rolling with help and support that as well.
So just to clarify, weaning kits are going to be on referral, but the nappies, we still want to try and create an accessibility point for people who are struggling in the working poor, which the working poor is a whole new bracket, which is different to vulnerable families referred, that they can come to us for that support without a referral. We think that's really, really important now, because actually sometimes turning people away when they've made that effort, it's really difficult to do, and we don't really want to have to do that. So, okay.
Would it be okay to ask some questions?
Yeah, of course.
So just first off, I think certainly for myself, but I believe for the councillors with me, thank you so much for this. It's really quite touching to see that the organisation is stepping up in this moment of crisis, and and unfortunately with the cost of living crisis, let's be frank, when central government fails to step up to support young children and families, it's so good to see that our community is actually stepping in to do that. And you know, it's a bit of a tearjerker this, because I change a nappy several times a day, not 5 times a day, but unfortunately, but I can well believe the numbers that you're saying, and how impossibly expensive it is for some people to do it. I think my question I had, I think it's brilliant that you're signposting already and being very resourceful, and I think that's how you work with health workers sounds fantastic. I just wanted to mention there's a baby library from Shannon.
Yeah, we're aware of them. So
Brilliant.
Shannon will put her advert out for us, and she's more recently shared it for us.
Lovely.
And a lot of the mums on there have come from here there as well, and then they're sharing it with other people on there. And then we're also saying to people who come in, maybe don't have Facebook, are you aware it's up there? So are you aware Shannon's up there, and you can go, and this is what you can get, help you can get. So over Christmas we supported them with all the bags,
Yeah, we gave them 10
So,
hampers for their
yeah.
Christmas meal. You know, the big hamper thing we did 17.5 grand's worth of hampers over December. 274 went out to the most vulnerable people through the agencies again, and Shannon benefited from 10 of those. And I think it's really important to say we are literally a stone's throw from each other, with Windmill Street to here, to George Street rather, and Shannon and I have spoken on a number of occasions. She does display our poster, and we actually do send things over to there that maybe not necessarily be of use for food bank, but might be of use for people that are needing clothes, for example. You know,
It's great to hear that. Sorry, I'll open it to other questions in a minute, but just that, you know, for example, so my daughter's almost 2 years old, and she's got all these wonderful bits of kit and stuff, and I fully take on board that respectfully. You don't want people to have seconds and everything, but some of this, you know, so as Shannon does, that ability to sort of give sort of, you know, spoons and, you know, equipment that could be helpful, but it's just great to hear that it's all joined up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Shannon, she's moving into a CIC now, I believe, as well. So as those things develop, you know, certainly come down and speak to us about how we can make those connections stronger as well.
I'll stop hogging the questions. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you for everything that you did at Silcliffe. Just to echo what Councillor Puttocks just said, you've had a 39% increase in food parcels that you give out in clients. And now you've seen another area of need. So not only have we got food poverty in a first world country in the 21st century, you're helping vulnerable families, but you're also helping the working poor. That's an oxymoron to me. It's the right word. I can hear my lovely English teacher friend who's passed saying that's right, Sarah. And it's an oxymoron. You've got period poverty for young girls in high school. You've now got nappy poverty for new families. It's an utter disgrace, and it's you know, it shouldn't be up to, in a civilised society, good Christian folk like these to shore up their basics, their basic human rights, to be able to clothe and feed your children. And it's an utter disgrace that you have to come here, cap in hand, to a town council for the basics, and you know, I'm more than happy to support your project, but I do find it really upsetting. The only other question I would ask, has anybody costed disposable nappies versus reusable nappies? Because I remember using, you know, with the washing machine and the heat and the water, and it's got to be boiled at 60, 90 degrees. Have you costed
get
that?
a reusable nappy kit for about £300. There's not a lot of people who've got £300 per day, but they are the national, the NCT, and they will support reusable nappies. And Jenny used to run her Mums and Tots group at Silcliffe, and when we were moving out, we actually found some, and she said, oh, Mike, I'm thinking about you know, reuse them again. If you've been on the Macclesfield Children's Library, there was actually just a thread last week about people who wanted to use reusable nappies again. So there's that scheme in place, and I'm trying to make contact at the moment with Laura from Enzo, who offers a voucher for the reusable nappy scheme as well. Unfortunately, we keep missing our meetings and schedules, but I'm hoping to try and make that link. So offering the pet parents who do want to take that choice, that support as well if we can. So that's something that's new to me as well, which is why I wanted to speak with Laura, and I think it's Laura, and have a chat with her. How does it work, and can we, they will give a voucher towards helping it, and how does that work, and how can we support families who choosing to take that step.
Yeah, I think choice is really important, as Jane has said, and what is kind of connected to what you're saying, Sarah, about the energy costs. I don't know whether you heard on the BBC News recently, with some media that came out, some footage of food banks where people are saying now they don't want raw vegetables, potatoes and carrots because they haven't got the energy to actually cook it. They can't afford to turn the oven on and cook those things. So the ambient tins that are easy to do with a microwave, for example, are much preferred. So even though we're living in a green world and an environment, you know, where we want to protect, and we really do, and we support that, and we'll give people that choice if they want that. I think the actual outlay for a lot of people are going to really struggle with that, the type of people that are using the Silk Life Food Bank service.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Questions? Councillors? Thank you. So we're going to take it to a vote then, and the action is to consider the grant application for £2,000. Do I have a proposal? Councillor Bennett-Waite, what's that?
Yes, I would like to propose that we fund this really, really good project.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. So we'll take that to a vote. Then all in favour of the proposal? Okay, thank you. And abstention. Thank you. So that passes. So thank you very much for your contributions. And it's been just it's been wonderful listening to the two different speakers as well. Both groups talking about it really well. So if you'd like to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, please feel free. Or I know it's nice and warm in here with the cost of living crisis. I know Councillor Thompson's here as well. You were saying it's warmer than your house here. So yeah, if we say that on YouTube, we'll have more visitors, more people coming to attend the meetings. It's lovely and warm here. It's nice. Okay, so we're going to move over to item 5.4, Hurstville Phoenix, the action to consider the grant application for £2,000. Do we have a speaker?
We do.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Spoke very well.
I don't mind it, so we're going to
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. Have a good evening.
Just while we're waiting, Chair, I didn't quite get any of your interest.
Declarations.
Yeah, can I declare a non-pecuniary interest in Hurstville Phoenix?
Okay.
Because I know children and adults who work there.
Yeah.
Obviously the one.
As ward councillor.
Yeah. There was another one, I'll find that in a minute.
Alright, so I'll start again. Item 5.4, Hurstville Phoenix. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, I've been.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Paul. I'm the manager of the under 7s and 8s, Hurstville Phoenix, and I'm a volunteer coach for them all as well. Which keeps me very busy. And we've put in for a grant because, like I say, it's just keeping it running. We've got 5s and 6-year-olds now trained, 7s and 8s, 9s, and it goes all the way up to 18s. We pay a lot of money for the hiring of pitches because we've got our own pitch. Expenses. It's just helps us to get all the kits and all this. We've just had good news now, we've got another coach joining us as well, which is good for free. Obviously we have to get your kit and everything else. So it's just to help us out and keep us running really. We've a lot of good lads. We're up to, I think about 370 now, something like that.
Players?
Yeah.
Right. So you've got more than one team then, yeah?
Yes, like I say, we have in the under 8s, we've got 4 teams. And I've got 2 teams under 6s and 2 under 7s, and it goes up all the way.
Would it be okay if some of the councillors ask some questions
Yeah,
about it?
yeah.
Okay, do we have any questions from councillors? Councillor Harewood?
Where is this thing that you have with the kids? Is it open to all the children in Macclesfield or just
And
Hertsfield?
around anywhere in Cheshire really, don't I join us?
Do they know?
Yes, we do put it out as Earthfield Phoenix. Yes, we all know the clubs within the Cheshire, Mid-Cheshire League, Stockport League, and Oldville League as well, so we're all over everywhere, so everyone knows about us. And it's not just the boys, it's the girls as well. So it's quite a good bunch. Keep you busy.
Sorry, Councillor Harewood.
I'm not going to be awkward. Yes, I'm being awkward. How much gender balance do you have in the clubs?
Sorry?
What's the gender balance you have there?
Gender balance, I would say, is 80-20 at the moment. 80 boys, 20 girls.
How many girls?
20% girls,
Okay,
80
okay.
boys.
I just wanted to know.
Getting more and more as it's England does so well. It's making the girls' teams pick up more, isn't it? I think under 11s have a full girls' team, but you can do mixed up to under 11s. So you can mix with the boys as well, and their older on as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Hudson?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I've been involved in local football for a long time as well, but how long do the kids last? Do they last a couple of seasons?
Oh,
or 2 3
yeah, I mean, the ages they are, a pair of boots will last a month for some of them. They're growing that fast, aren't they? And, but we have, it's not just for kits, it's helped us towards the pitches as well. You know, we pay a lot to rent pitches out and go have it, especially through winter.
Yeah.
And training gear, but the ones we've got, the yellows, have gone down to the 5 and 6 year olds, some of them, but some aren't even worth learning. And we do put the sponsorship with Matt Town Council on as well.
Do the kids go, well, when you go from under 11s to under 12s, do the kids go to the next group on? Or?
Yeah, we tried to, with the Worthy, to put them down, with the condition.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's, when you've done sort of 12, if you get 12 months out, you're lucky. Because it gets a bit more physical. Well, you'll know yourself, gets physical, doesn't it?
Final question is, when at the end of a match, are the kids gathered centrally and washed, or do the kids tend to take
The
them
parents take the kids home and wash them themselves, that's one
Individual.
thing. If they're struggling, I take them as little, just can't do it, I wash them. Some of them have one lad who kept coming in one yellow sock and one white sock, one black boot, one a white boot, and I was getting a bit confused at him, but he said he's lost one of each. So I got him from set, make sure he had about 2 ones for him.
I'm just kind of at the end of the season, I just would like to think that the kids are all gathered in. And
Oh yeah, they're looked
just-
after as best we can for them.
Yeah.
But it's a training gear as well, your stuff you need. As you advance up, you have to get backboards, learn training on that, balls and cones, flags, all sorts to keep them going.
And Councillor Woodson?
I wanted to speak because...
You're going to go first.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much, Paul, for coming along to speak to us about the application, and congratulations on the growth you've had.
Yes.
It's really good to sit here listening to you saying how well the team has grown since we last looked at the application for the previous grant. And well done on coming back to tell us that you've got far many more
Yes,
players
it's growing and
involved.
growing all the time, which is good. I mean, let's see, as we sat there, I just had 2 more players and a coach. That's how busy we are at the moment.
Yeah, and I think, sorry. Yeah, and I think the other thing I would also like to say is it's good to hear that there's more girls involved. That's been an increase
Yes.
since we last came and spoke to us. And also, congratulations on complying with our request that the logo issues, because
Yeah, we're very
it
proud
doesn't
of
always
it.
happen.
Very proud.
And you use our logo to
Yeah.
demonstrate the support that the town
We
councils
play
give. and that's most
all over as
appreciated.
well.
Yeah.
It's not just seen in Macclesfield, we play Stockport, Colmans, we're all over in different matches and so on. So. But it's well seen by professional footballers and all the way. They were sneaking all those pictures this weekend of it. Yeah, it's well seen. I'm very proud of what we did for us.
Councillor Bailey?
As I've said, I do know adults and children who are part of Hertsfield, Phoenix and the wider clubs, and it's really it's quite competitive. There was it was almost like a local derby between Herdsfield and Mac, and Mac as well.
Oh,
there was
Mac's
supposed to
good.
be a friendly game. Oh my word! The word on the playground was like where we was going to win is, and naturally Herdsfield won. But it's really, I'm really impressed to see. It's not just about kits, it's about premises, it's about club affiliation and more importantly safeguarding training, which is ever so important.
Yeah, all the
when
coaches are definitely have to train in
when you work
self-defense, you know.
when you work with young children. So it's very well organised. It's very well attended. There are girls there. There's more and more girls after the Women's World Cup interest in the success of the Lionesses. There's more girls interested in football, you know, and I'm sure that will grow over time. Well, thank you for coming.
Alright, we're proud of that, the girls thing. We have more female coaches as well, which is good as well. You know, it's not a male-dominated thing anymore. It's how it should be.
Oh, brilliant to hear. Do we have any further questions? Councillor Harewood, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I think most of my questions have been answered, but I just wanted to know, do you have any posters or paperwork, or will you just circulate your own information? Do you have anything I can take with me?
I don't really. Mostly it goes through the grassroots thingy, and the pictures of children have to be, as you probably know, kept through the groups and through your parents' permissions and everything. But we advertise for grassroots and through the community itself. I mean, if you went on the Earthfield Phoenix webpage, you'd be able to see stuff what's on there.
Okay.
On there, it shows everything.
Thank you very
As
much.
long as you're asking your details and stuff, you just can't
Okay,
take
thanks very
pictures
much.
off it. It's still not safeguarding, is it?
Thank you.
Follow all the rules.
Great. If we don't have any more questions, I think we should take it to consideration then. So the action is to consider the grant application for £2,000. Do we have any proposals from councillors?
Yeah, I'll move that, Chair.
Councillor Wilson, thank you. And do we have a second? Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. So all in favour, please?
One day.
My counting is not so good, so maybe I'll add some.
Yeah, just think
Yeah,
yes.
thank you. So that was unanimous there, and thank you very much for coming
No,
and
thank
talking. It's wonderful to hear about the.
Well, you've never gone out when you want to listen to me go
Oh, I've retired now, so from football, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's not just, like you say, you've got siblings from Bolton, it's just growing and growing, it's everywhere, it's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Don't have any social at the weekend, it's all good. I'm not age, I don't mind now.
Oh, fabulous, thank you. And I was going to say, if you want to stay in.
Keep going on the door.
While you're at work, that's
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much, everyone.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item 6 and the grant updates, and we're just going to go through these. Should we see if councillors want to comment on them individually? Item 6.1, refugees welcome to note the report. Do we have any comments from the councillors about that one? Just to thank refugees welcome for their report. Item 6.2, scoop and scales, to again note the report. Do we have any comments about that? Item 6.3, the Macclesfield Cricket Club, to note the report. 6.4, the Macclesfield Boys Boxing Club, to note the report.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah,
Thanks very much indeed. You'll recall that the Macclesfield Boys Boxing Club came to approach us for a grant to take a team of 4 female boxers to Ireland for 4 days in October last year. And I'd like to thank the Boys Boxing Club for giving us such a detailed report, including some photographs, which is always good because it illustrates it gives you a good idea about how the funds have been spent. As Mayor, I attended the Macclesfield Boys Boxing Club Amateur Boxing Night on the 3rd of February in my capacity as Mayor, and I have to say I've never actually been to a boxing tournament before. So it was interesting, and I'd like to thank the boxing club for having someone to explain to me, you know, the sort of the scoring and issues like that. And it's very interesting that with the younger boxers, they're talking about skills-based, and they're actually bringing forward really key issues like discipline and respect for other players, other boxers. And I was very, very impressed with the whole approach. And I was very fortunate to be able to see all of the girl boxers who went to Ireland on the trip and meet their coach Donna, and they all boxed really, really well. They all won their bouts. Macclesfield did really well against a varying field from other boxing clubs nearby, and so I wanted just to share my report back on how well the evening had gone, and it's very clear to see that the girls we sponsored to go on the tour of Ireland have very much learned from that experience and have improved their skills. It was an interesting evening.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. Did you get into the ring?
I do box, but I don't hit people. I do boxing training, and when I told my mother I was taking up boxing, she was very concerned, and I posted a picture on Facebook with myself and my husband. It's sort of like, is it squaring up to each other with a post? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I just did a bit of training with them outside of just training, and that almost killed me.
Yeah,
It's really impressive.
In actual fact, the training is very strenuous. It's good exercise. So, haven't hit anybody yet, but there's always time.
Councillor Bennett, wait.
On that note, I was just thinking maybe they need to rebrand as Macclesfield Boxing Club rather than Macclesfield Boys Boxing Club, since they have girls now as well. But there you go.
If I could perhaps add as a point of interest, that is under very serious consideration.
Is it?
That point was discussed on the evening about being called the Boys Boxing Club, because it's clearly lots of people involved in boxing, boys and girls and adults, and the coaches are a mix of men and women as well. And I can reassure you that was discussed on the evening, it is under discussion. And I suspect that's the Deputy Town Clerk's nodding at me, so I think she's probably had the same conversation.
Yeah, I think somebody brought it up when they came to us for the application. I can't remember who it was, and I did go back to them, and they said what you've just said. So yeah,
It is under I think it's in the pipeline, Councillor Bennett, so yeah, it was raised on the evening as well.
Thanks for your comment there, Councillor Wilson. Just to go down to 6.5, Macclesfield Music Centre, to note the reports. Do you have any comments on that? So in summary, with the grant updates to say, again, I think we're largely very positive, and great to see. So we're going to move on to item 7, and award budgets to consider. The award budget applications. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Hutchison.
Well, just speaking about the Western Irish one.
Are we going to go through it? Okay.
The central one's first, Chair.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
So, the central ward budget, the council has decided to put towards the gritting of the town centre, which we found out quite late on last year, which had previously been done by ANZA, could no longer be done by ANZA, and seemed to be only be able to be done by Cheshire East Highways. So they put their ward budget towards that. We don't know what the final figure is yet, because it depends on the weather and when they grit, because it has to reach -1, etc. There's sort of parameters of when they actually grit, but the council there put it towards that for the safety, obviously, of the residents and centre users.
Do we need to consider them individually then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Councillor Hutchison, do you want to speak?
I'd just like to express how disappointed it is that we have to do this gritting in the centre of town, and not so now when I think of ward budgets, I like to think of it being something that's something that has a visual impact on the ward and on people's, when they're looking at it thinking, wow, a bit of a wow factor to something that happens within the ward. Whereas this is just going to be something that's perhaps unseen, maybe appreciated, unseen.
Do you have any other comments on the central ward budget? Okay, do we have a proposal?
Well, Chair, it's already been proposed and seconded, if you like, by the ward councillors who
So-
signed up to the budget.
So we just note, are we just noting this? Just vote, okay, so all in favour then of that proposal? I think minded that the ward councillors themselves have asked for that. Okay, we'll move on to the second one then. Herdsfield, do we have any comments on?
Yes,
Promotions.
I did a little poll on Facebook about what people wanted, and I might just add an amendment to this as well. Yeah, we've been looking at a variety. One of the big issues is damage to grass verges, and a solution to that could be to put some large weight stones on rather than wait for some sort of study to be done and have railings put up or not put up as the case. A pleasanter and greener solution would be to wild the verges and put some stones around so it stops them getting torn up every time a lorry goes past. And added to that, I forgot to write it on, was perhaps buy a couple of bags of sand, of grit, to fill a grit bin and a very steep road, Dover Road, to give them a couple of bags of grit as well, would come under that budget.
Will we be able to ask some questions? At the point, Councillor Wilcock.
Just a question. Do Cheshire East Council not come fill the grit bins? Is that not?
No, I'm in the process of doing that. I'm in the process of getting them to fill a grit bin. But my plan B is, if they don't do that, I'll buy it out of the water.
Again, it just seems.
I know, but I don't want people falling over.
No, fully understandable. You know, doing the job at Cheshire East Council, they're sometimes failing when there's provision there for them to fill the grit bins. I fully support it. But
if I may
disappointing.
reply. As I say, that's in the process. I've just mentioned I'm going to spend some of the money on something other than plants. If there's any money left over, I say if, we would replant the flower beds in Bambury Park and the community garden, but I think quite a lot of people might want some rewilded verges and precautionary measures for either vehicles or snow.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of money in the pot, but if we can help people become safer, that would be good.
Councillor Howard, did you have
Thank you. With Councillor, I can't remember her other name now. Councillor Sarah's remark, has an application been made to Cheshire East and refused, or not?
No, it has been made, but it's just in case. So the money is for, the ward budget is essentially for rewild and verges, and just in case I can't get the grit bins filled or in place, I'll use some of that to buy some grit or sand for the winter.
I respect that, but I think the first thing you should do is apply for it.
I'm doing that.
Apply for it and let them say yes or no.
Yeah, I am doing that. This is essentially for, maybe I should have mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gritting comes up frequently, and I think it's not acceptable that we're in the situation that we're in terms of gritting falling under responsibility of the town council. I think it's very frustrating indeed, and we only had to see recently the outpouring of concern when it was perceived that gritting hadn't been done. When the recent snow we had, and I can assure everybody here that the gritting was being done, because I live very close to the gritting depot and the gritting lorries were going past my house every few minutes. And so the gritting is being done. And in fact, Cheshire East did grit the town centre up until relatively recently. In fact, ANZA gritted the town centre, and they have gritted the town centre free of charge to the borough council or the town council for a significant amount of time, certainly since the days of the Maxfield Borough Council. And I think that in our ward, Chair, we've had a grit bin removed without any explanation. And I'm still campaigning for that grit bin to be returned. And I think Cheshire East Highways I think it's really important to go on, and this is for people who are listening to this as well or watching, it's really important to go on to Fix My Street and report these things, because I do say to residents quite a lot, it's actually Pest Power that gets things done. I've only recently once again reported the grit bin that was taken away from our ward on Gunco Lane, that the town clerk will realise that I had agreed last December. That's not December last year, but the December the year before it was agreed that bin would be replaced. It was simply taken away. So I think it's difficult for us because we're concerned about our residents, we're concerned about people slipping, and I think that all I would say is that it should be the local authority who are paying for gritting and grit bins, but the local authority should have the proper financial support from the national government. And it's the national government that aren't making funding available. And the managed highways strategy that Cheshire East Council is managing the decline of our highways. And it's a great deal of concern to a lot of residents. So I think it's very important to note that it actually is national government that are reducing the funding that's paying for these issues. And Cheshire East are doing the best they can, I feel, to deal with all of this. But you know, we're all wanting to keep our residents safe, and I think that's the correct thing to do. But I would very much urge people to report all these issues and keep reporting them, because as Councillor Howard just said, we do need to keep making sure that it's kept in the headlines that this needs doing. It's a big concern, but the gritting is being done because the lorries are trundling past my house at all hours of the night. So.
Could I say as well, Councillor Bennett, before we go to a vote, I actually think it's your proposal is quite a good example of positivity, trying to turn what is obviously a failing of, as Councillor Wilson says, of central government and funding for local authorities, turn that into a positive way, getting members of the community to come together and actually re-green and re-wild. So I think that's actually very positive and good to hear.
Thank you.
So we're going to take that to a vote. So all in favour of the proposal for Herdsfield, please? Okay, so it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, okay, so we're going to go on to Maxfield South Ward. Would it be okay if Councillor Wilson, if you speak about that?
Yes, of course, thank you, Chair. In Macclesfield South Ward, myself and Councillor Fuddick have been called to visit our local school by our local, the Ashgrove School Year 2 students, who as part of a project they were doing about the area they lived in, had identified that in Ashgrove Park the play equipment was designed for older children and not for younger children. And so they have told myself and Councillor Fuddick they want a treehouse. And we're very delighted to do that, to provide that treehouse, but it was rather more expensive than 1 year's ward budget. So we're taking a leaf out of the book of the Town Council itself at large, that when we do parks and play areas, we sometimes go back and we sometimes make additional contributions. So our ward budget did go towards this project, but inflation's, last time I looked, it was something like getting on for 11-12%, and the cost of things is shooting up. So we need to use this year's ward budget to complete the project. So this is a continuation of us wanting to improve the play areas in our ward. Ashgrove is a very small park. It's it wouldn't attract the funding that we put into the larger parks, but this is a way we can make a little park, and it's called Little Park by the local youngsters, improved with having a tree house. So we would like to put our award budget for this year to the same project so that we can go back to Ashgrove School and tell our students there. It'll probably be at the university by the time. We're doing our best.
If I could add to that as well, very, very well presented there by Councillor Wilson. that we are, this is us listening to what the children of the community are asking for, and very much that we actually, so as was mentioned, it was basically it was the wrong part. They put in the wrong equipment. It was a mistake where you have where the younger children needed some equipment that was more suitable for them, because they're not as kind of able to go to any of the bigger parks, or so for them that's their park. So we listened to that, and of course the other point being really that I think from experience, I mean, I certainly hope that the community will look after that park. That whereas previously there could be negativity with whether it was we're able to have equipment in a space, we can be positive and say actually that the community will look after that and make sure that it's enjoyed by people. So I'm going to take that to a vote, please. So all in favour of the Maxfield South proposal? Thank you. Unanimous again. We're going to go into Western Ivy. Councillor Hutchison, Councillor Howard?
Yeah, well, this is it's the completing the work in the Western Park. You know, the Western Park, we started with a community garden at the north end of that, which was very successful, played a big part in Britain Bloom, and there was concerns that would be wrecked, and it's not been, so it's still there, and it's still, although it needs a little bit of tidying up, affection, it's still there, and it will be beautiful again in summer. The play equipment is all there provided, and it's again all intact, and robust equipment, which is being well used. There's a skate park, which is, I've met with Dick Vincent, a local artist, who's going to provide a splash of colour and amusement on that ramp, and make it very attractive for the children to use. And the final kind of commitment, or our commitment to the children of the Western Park, is to put some football posts back onto the pitch. I was hoping to get some nets as well, but if we could keep those maybe in the town hall central use, and then if they were used by any groups, then I personally would make sure that they go out and they come back so that they're safe. It'd be nice to get a pitch marked out as part of all of that as well, but yeah, just finishing off our commitment to the young people of the West, and show them that positivity and goes with good facilities.
Councillor Howard, would you like to make any further comment?
I'm just pleased that we are going on and working on and doing things. This space more. I just hope that it stays, because as you know, I've lived on the Western for half a century, and things come and go, but I'm happy for any improvement. Happy.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the councillors?
Seems to be even football.
It's a great game. So if it's okay then, no further comments, we'll take that to a vote. So all in favour of approving Western Ivy proposal application? That's unanimous again. Is that it? We have any further reports?
Yeah, we've got Broken Cross and Upton.
Yeah, I can't see it.
So it's definitely that.
Well, Chris is going to explain this.
So, so just to give a bit of information in relation to the trees and the wildflowers, we contacted at some point last year from one of our residents that informed a tree had been felled because it was diseased. It was just a question of can we plant some trees locally. The question went out on Facebook, and residents have been giving suggestions of where trees, or they would like trees to be planted, and also Macclesfield Town Council on their Facebook page, there there was a post about the wildflowering at Sainsbury's, because it we cut back ready for replanting. A couple of residents, I think, have commented on it to say they'd like to see some wildflowering on the wall. So we've got some sites penciled in. So it's just for a total of £1,250 for a number of trees and the wildflowering on Crossnutton.
So it would be alright to invite Councillor Thompson to speak.
Would you speak on the next one?
Would you wish to speak about it at all? Yeah.
Got two applications.
Yes, and the second one is for another do to celebrate. We know there's potentially a little bit of money, but we want to have two on our patch. The Optum one went down very well, the Queen's Jubilee celebration, so we want to sort of repeat the success of that. The same place, Bex Lane, and so it's to pay for the things that we paid for last time. It was very well received. A lot of people said it was it'd been a long time since they'd had a community event, so it seems like a good idea to repeat that.
Just note as well, the funding from the Town Council for the unofficial.
We'll be the unofficial one, you're the official one, aren't you?
We're looking at on Greenside Estate, so it's just a supplementary one because of the huge success last year for the Queen's Jubilee.
£750 for bouncy castles.
I think that's 3, isn't it? I think that's what we paid last time.
I'm not too sure.
They were very
They're really good.
I'm sure there will be other things more about castles.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the councillors? Okay,
No.
okay, so we're going to take that to a vote then, please. So all in favour, please. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so that's approved. So are there any others? Because I can't see any others. Okay, brilliant. So. Okay, so that's the ward budget. So we're on to item 8, finances 8.1, spend to date. The action to that the spend to date December 22 of £692,904 is approved for recommendation to full council on the 6th of March 2023.
Yeah, I'll move that, Chair.
Thank you. I will second that. Okay, so do we have? Can we take that to a vote then? All in favour, please. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 8.2, reports. Action. The following reports to be noted. And I'm going to take these together, if that would be all right, or with everybody here. So 8.2.1 through to 8.2.5. So I'll just list those quickly. The income and expenditure, bank reconciliation, receipts and payments, authorised payments, and internal audit reports. The reports to be noted. Okay, so do you want to speak?
On the internal audit report, the main items that are highlighted in there are all to do with South Park Pavilion and to do with VAT around that. I'm pleased to say that when the auditor did come, he did say that he couldn't catch us out. He tried, but he couldn't. So in the sort of day-to-day, everyday running, everything's absolutely perfect and fine. The only things that were there were the sort of new bigger projects that we're doing. So we have a little bit of learning to do around VAT, etc., which we're doing.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments on that? Or any other comments from the councillors? Councillor Benway.
Just to thank the clerk and the town board team for all the hard work and effort that we put into these things. And like you say, till it ended here, I couldn't see any mistakes. But yeah, well done.
Brilliant. Okay.
I'll make the same comment that I've made several times, and that's, I think, that some more consideration should be given to councillors in terms of providing them with a cup of coffee now and again, a cup of tea, and you know, after the end of the day, we have volunteers who will be coming. Yeah, I know. I also think sometimes when people come in to speak, you are guests, when they come to these meetings, is also providing that courtesy. If it's at all possible, if I can do that.
Thank you,
It's a small thing, but it's a big thing.
And of course, in the same week that the members of Parliament have given themselves a big pay rise.
Just to say, from the office point of view, it's really helpful the councillors that do help behind the scenes with all the finances. Everything has to be checked, double checked, second authorised, and it is quite time consuming. Those councillors, and I know Councillor Wilson, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Wilcott all help with that, and other councillors helped in the past, so that actually massively helps the team be able to do the job properly.
Really nice to hear these comments from everybody. Wishing everybody a lovely Valentine's Day for tomorrow as well. The next meeting of the Finance Committee will be held on not the 1st but the 3rd of April 2023 here at the Town Halls.